Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there, having a great start to your Sunday morning, and a great weekend out there so far. We got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for your Sunday. Keep you guys updated and ahead of what's going to happen today, as a pretty large area has a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 risk for strong to severe storms for today. Some of these areas are some of the same regions that were impacted yesterday. In fact, a lot of these areas are, but there's definitely a severe weather threat further east and southeast too that we need to cover, and we'll break down for you guys. And the same areas hot like they were yesterday, but some of this heat has been flattened out a little bit. But Louisiana, a lot of Texas, still brutally hot for sure for today. We'll cover that. We'll cover everybody in this video like we always do. So definitely appreciate you folks tuning in. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I've really been struggling getting this video started this morning. I've had to start over about 10 times or so. Happens some mornings. So if I've already mentioned this before, the more I have to start over, the more it messes up my flow through the video. So if it comes off sloppy, I do apologize ahead of time. I hate when that happens, when I drop a video and then I'm done speaking for 35 minutes. And I'm like, dang, that was really not a good flowed video. So hopefully this goes pretty well. But if you folks got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and others can do so too. And I have not had a chance to read the comments from yesterday. So if there was any prayer requests, I do apologize. I will read over them first thing this morning after I drop this video. And definitely will be praying over all prayer requests, and I'm sure a lot of people already have. And yesterday I went to the beach with my girls for the day, got home and just was really exhausted, tired, and just crashed early. So that's why I've not got to it. I feel like it was something else. Also, if you guys, find in your heart to do so, let's pray over the schools this morning for sure. A lot of people have already went back to school. A lot of people go back this week, maybe next week. Seems like school starts earlier and earlier as time goes by. But let's pray over the schools, the teachers, the students, the safety for them. We have a school that my little girls go to right up here. I mean, literally 5-minute walking distance from my house. It's like a quarter mile, called Oak Grove Elementary. We're going to walk up there, pray for the school. It's very important. Okay, we need protection over these schools. That is especially, not just elementary, but all levels of school. But the kids are the foundation of everything. I believe that with everything that I got, and I think it's important, not just for the kids, obviously, but for the teachers to instill, the great qualities to make it in this world, because it ain't getting easier out there. We all know that. So just take some time, pray for them. Prayer is powerful, and let's do that. God is good, and we know God's got us covered. So let's get rolling this morning. A water vapor loop, 3-minute intro. Geez, you know how we doing here. Let's wake this thing up. She is working. So we take a look at what's going on. Ridge is over this region right into here. So you're waking up to a lot of showers, light to moderate, in some cases heavy rain here in Kansas, moving into, not Kansas, Oklahoma, moving into Arkansas. We got this surface low up here that's continuing to spin. I am struggling with L's the last couple of days here, but that is supposed to be an L. You definitely got some activity right over here in Kentucky and Tennessee. We'll get more activity in this area today, but this piece of energy is just continually floating through this region. This will promote an atmosphere for strong to severe storms in this region for tomorrow also. Will we have that enhanced risk? But we're not going to get too detailed on that in this video. I will give you some information on that at the very end of the video. But ridge over this region, still very hot over this portion of the country. Really, I meant to draw that more so over here. But that's kind of what's going on. Flow is setting up through here. This is bringing this low, upper level low, or upper trough, if you will, with an associated surface low and cold front down this way, and therefore you have a belt of kinematics lifting the atmosphere shear for a lot of storm development into this region right here, where the right exit region is going to create forcing for a ton of storm activity right here and kind of the Tennessee Valley, Mississippi Valley regions, if you will. So that's kind of what's going on water vapor loop. Let's see what's going on and falling on the actual surface. A lot of areas of rain this morning. You got one up here in the north central U.S., one down here in the south central U.S., which is nice to wake up to ahead of the heat. Hopefully you can keep this area of rain that lingers around for long enough in the south central U.S. that kind of hurts your temperatures from rising too high. We'll see. You got some heavy rain flying into the western sides of the Appalachian Mountains here in eastern Tennessee, the eastern hills of Kentucky, even starting to move into sections of West Virginia and Western Virginia. And then we got a kind of a secondary low right here that's bringing you guys some rain in areas of southern Michigan this morning. Then we got rain in the northern Rockies. So there's a lot of area that's seeing some morning rain this morning for sure. But we'll certainly watch later on as the atmosphere really destabilizes in certain regions, and we'll have more storm activity as opposed to just kind of moderate to heavy rain, which is kind of falling out there right now. Storm Prediction Center, I always want to remind y'all, don't want to harp on this too much. This is as of right now. I'm actually dropping this video a good bit later than I normally do. So this is as of right now around 8 a.m. Another update comes out probably in about 45 minutes. So this information might change. But as of right now, there's a slight risk that expands from basically areas in the Midwest all the way to the Southern Alps region and areas of the Mid-South and the kind of the upper Deep South region. This does include all of Kentucky, all of Tennessee, and portions of states surrounding it, okay? There is a 2% risk of a tornado in the southern half of Illinois. This does include St. Louis and portions of Missouri, also extreme eastern Missouri, sections of southwest Indiana, and then sections of western and extreme northwestern and western areas of Kentucky, So Evansville included, St. Louis, Springfield, up to Peoria, and then all of southern Illinois has that risk of a tornado. We'll talk about that in this video. Winds, just a large, broad area of a 15% risk of winds exceeding 50 knots or higher. Some of these storms could produce even higher winds. That's 55 to 60 miles per hour. Hail threat, much smaller. It's more compact, but I really think we're going to have some somewhat more discrete storms that forms in this area. St. Louis, western and southwest Illinois. Okay, you have a 15% risk of hail, but you also have in the black outline region right here that's pretty small as of now. This could change right over St. Louis, a 10% risk of significant hail. So I'm telling you guys, be aware, keep your cars protected if there is a way to do so. Not everybody is, blessed enough to have a carport or a garage, or a lot of people like to use their garage as storage. So, but and that's just a common thing. But definitely watch out for large hail in this region today. You are definitely going to have the ingredients, ton of fuel in the atmosphere to produce some big time hail in this region of the country today. As we move forward, we look at the excessive rainfall outlook. Really, this is here because this area has already seen a lot of rain. Okay, I'm expecting a decent amount of rain in this region today, where a lot of shower and storm activity will get going. But this is really just driven off the fact that you guys are already saturated. The soil's saturated. You've gotten a lot of rain. It's a weird area up here where you guys will be very, very dry for weeks on end. And then you'll get into a pattern for about a week or two where you just get rainstorm after rainstorm after rainstorm, whether it's in the form of just rain or storms. This will be the case today. You want to watch this little elevated region right here, which has a slight risk of flash flooding too. This means there's at least a 15% risk of excessive rainfall being exceeded into this region. So we'll watch out these areas. We'll talk about how much rain could fall in this region later in the video. Watches, warnings, advisories, excessive heat warnings in the purple. This has not changed. This has been the general theme over the last few days. It will continue to be very hot. Dallas-Fort Worth, I mean, I don't know how you guys compare to your hottest summer on record, but it has just been brutal. Shreveport also, Little Rock, excessive heat warnings. Just a brutal summer that continues this ridge, which, it flattens out, it shifts a little bit, but in general, it still continued to pump heat over this area of the country. Okay? And dense fog advisories you're waking up to, but these will probably get dropped here in the hour or two. It might already be dropped. Flood watch is up for areas of the northern plains, and then already up again for areas of Missouri and Illinois. So let's go on and break everything down. We talk about the southeast first, and that's weird. I don't have my normal screen pulled up where I have the entire southeast, so I guess we'll just do it like this. Maybe I forgot to do it. The deep south. We'll talk about all the southeast here. Florida, you guys, not to leave you guys hanging, just typical pop-up summer showers and storms flow today, not any different than any other day. Okay. But my folks in the deep south was starting it off this morning. We'll watch some lingering moisture that continues to drift out of Oklahoma into Arkansas. But the HRRR model says this is going to weaken, fully dissipate. Could get some storms get popping off as early as midday here in northern Georgia, eastern areas of Tennessee, where you guys are already dealing with some rain this morning. We'll talk about this here in a second. But as we're looking at this, some powerful storms. The NAM and the HRRR model shows this developing here in northern Alabama. I would watch out around the Florence, Huntsville, Alabama region, even southern Tennessee. Watch out for a cluster of storms. Late afternoon, evening time frame. These could blast through the northern Alabama area and definitely be, provide some impactful weather definitely in this region. These could drift into the Georgia region. A little bit later this evening, we could get some storms. And then we'll watch out a little bit later. I mean, this is well after midnight at this point. It's showing a cluster of storms developing in western Tennessee, drifting across Tennessee. And I mean, at this point, it's about 4 a.m. in the morning, tomorrow morning. And we could get another area of storms that moves through areas of the Mid-South after midnight. So it doesn't look very active, but I'm telling you, this is going to be wrong somewhere. Somewhere's going to get some big storms that did not show up on this map that I just showed you. So if we look at the NAM, same region, same idea. It's picking up on some storms developing here in eastern Tennessee. Both models show that pretty well, and it does like the idea of storms forming a little bit earlier here in northern Mississippi and then drifting into northern Alabama late afternoon into this evening. Could be a stormy, like I said, afternoon, evening for northern Alabama. But, the models do definitely show a little bit heavier activity in areas of Georgia late this evening. And then both models do pick up on this area of storms that kind of develops. It develops it more in Arkansas with the NAM. Northeast Arkansas drifts a line of storms into the Memphis area, and we'll see what it looks like tomorrow morning. So there could be little breaks today. It could look totally different, but that's what the two models are showing for this region. We have to go a little bit further north into more of Tennessee, Kentucky. We'll cover southern Indiana, even areas of southern Ohio into this. We're going to talk about Illinois. We're going to talk about Illinois, Missouri. Just hold up in another panel. I want to give it its own focus because it definitely warrants it. But here comes all the weather. And we're going to talk about this for you folks in Illinois here in a second. But let's talk about southern Indiana, because I know we're kind of working from later to earlier. It doesn't really make much sense. But my folks in Indiana, you certainly got to watch out for some nasty storms. The models like these really getting going after the sun goes down tonight. So Evansville, Bloomington, this entire little corridor, I mean, this is going to move into the Louisville area after midnight tonight. These could be some powerful storms, okay? Damaging winds that move in like after 10 p.m. into southern Indiana, okay? And you're thinking, what's going to happen the rest of the day? Well, if we look at the rest of the day, it's pretty quiet. There's not a whole lot that goes on in this region this afternoon. And Kentucky, I know you're thinking, well, why do we have a slight risk? Well, just remember that just because this model run does not show anything does not mean anything's not going to develop sometime this afternoon, this evening in Kentucky. But I tell you, the confidence is much higher in this area of storms that moves through later tonight. This is like 11 p.m. tonight. This blast through all of southern Indiana could produce some damaging winds. And this could very well be connected down here, okay? So western Kentucky, northern Kentucky, seeing some storms into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning. And then we're going to wake up to probably a lot of activity ongoing somewhere tomorrow morning. But this is the area right into here that you got to watch out for, okay? Same area that, it was under the gun yesterday. But this is the corridor of winds based off the HRRR model that is going to get going in southern Illinois, probably midway, late afternoon. And I know you see these weird little kind of breaks in between all this, but these are connected. This is just in 1 hour intervals. So from 1 hour it goes here, the next hour it goes here. But you see these areas that have 50, 60 mile per hour winds. This is going, right through the Mount Vernon area of Illinois, Evansville, the 69 corridor, through Louisville, Elizabethtown, potentially, all of northern Kentucky. This could affect areas of Cincinnati, Frankfort, Lexington, Kentucky later tonight. So please be aware of this. Definitely a threat for damaging winds in this entire area. But as of now, model guidance is saying this is going to happen later in the time frame. Okay, Carolinas, Virginia. I really wasn't expecting this. I woke up, kind of went over model guidance, and this was kind of new. In fact, if you last, for example, in the Carolinas, if you looked at your forecast Friday and that was the last time you looked at it, it's probably changed. And now there is a threat for storms for a lot of people in the Carolinas for later this afternoon to this evening. So we'll start off around 1 to 2 p.m. It's potential for some storms in North Georgia. It's probably going to be a stormy, I would say, early to mid-afternoon in the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina, maybe even up to Virginia also, West Virginia. And these continue, and you got a pretty hefty line of storms, which I have a feeling is probably going to be strong to severe, moving through maybe the Athens, Georgia area, Gainesville region, Greenville, Spartanburg, just kind of the western Piedmont of North Carolina. And these continue. I mean, this is around 7 p.m. Show some storms getting close to the Columbia area, around the Augusta, Charlotte, up to Winston-Salem. You got some storms moving through, and so we'll see what happens. So if you got any outdoor activities later this afternoon, later this evening in the Carolinas, especially in the western Carolinas, I would definitely be aware of these storms. The same thing up in Virginia, guys. You definitely could get some storms later this evening into western areas of Virginia, and these could produce some gusty winds, some small hail, certainly possible, but tomorrow is the much bigger threat for this entire region, much bigger threat, so we got to watch out. But as far as ingredients for all this, we'll stop it. We're not going to move it. This is for late afternoon, early evening. Your moisture levels are plenty high, okay? You got dew points well into the 70s, all the way up into the Midwest, okay? So moisture is high. You can check that off the box. You got that ingredients. It's very humid out here, very uncomfortable. Okay, because of moisture being high, you got the higher CAPE levels. You're going to have a corridor of CAPE reaching well over 2,500 joules per kilogram, even higher down here in Tennessee, well over 3,000 joules per kilogram. And I would argue you're probably going to be pushing 3,000 CAPE up into this region too. But it's a stout cutoff. This is where there's more stable air up here. So northern Illinois, northern Indiana, I think you guys will, for the most part, be okay today, but you cannot rule out anything. But down here in this very moist corridor, which I wouldn't even call this a corridor, just this large area, you have higher CAPE levels. And then you look at the winds aloft, okay? This kind of right exit region right into here of this kind of mid-level jet max right into here, which, you got winds pushing 50 to 60 knot mid-level jet right over Missouri. Just think of this as the kinetic energy that's going to support all this lift and shear for thunderstorm development. And this is where you're going to have it here, right here, this exit region. Basically, this is right at the, it's kind of weird. They call it the exit region, but this is basically right at the tail, kind of right at the beginning of this jet. And this is right here. This is where it's the strongest, and it's swooping through right here. And then right here in this region where things kind of the flow kind of cuts off substantially, this is where the best forcing is, right into here. Okay, so you got that right here in this region. And you're going to get a lot of thunderstorm development into this region today for sure. The Northeast, pretty quiet for most of the area. The only area that I would say, I wouldn't even call it a concern, is you got to watch out here in eastern Ohio, northern Ohio, and areas of western PA. You guys could certainly get some storm activity today. But the rest of everybody else, these showers could eventually drift into the western sections of New York State, could drift all the way into central PA. You could get some storms this afternoon also. And Maryland, northern VA, the Washington, D.C. region, you guys could certainly see some storms today. But it looks like they kind of dissipate as we get into the overnight hours. And then I think you can get some showers, maybe even some rumbles of thunder overnight tonight in New York State for sure, as these storms try to get going again. And then you could probably wake up to some more storms tomorrow morning in West Virginia. But let's zoom into these regions. Like I said, a little secondary low in and around the Michigan area. It's going to promote some storm development around the Cleveland region, maybe even up into Detroit. But I would say the eastern Ohio, you guys could see some storms today, some good summertime storms. There is a marginal risk of severe weather, so some of these could pack a punch. I think you could get widely scattered showers and storms in West Virginia today, and these eventually will drift into western PA, Pittsburgh, Erie. Watch out, storm activity is possible, even some lingering storms in eastern Ohio, and these will kind of drift through. So expect this to really get going as early as noon today, and then make its way throughout the entire region throughout the afternoon, evening hours. I really don't think there's anything super concerned to be worried about in this region, but some of these storms, there could be a tornado warning up here. There could be that rogue severe thunderstorm warning. It's very possible. Folks in the south central U.S. will watch as this lingering rain dissipates as it enters Arkansas. Maybe it doesn't dissipate. We'll certainly figure that one out. Everybody else, the rest of the day, pretty quiet. We cannot rule out, and I would not be surprised, as of right now, there's nothing. There's no marginal risk. If they kind of throw in a little marginal risk right into here for maybe a supercell or two that tries to develop here in southeast areas of Colorado, maybe drifts into extreme western panhandle of Oklahoma, and then maybe eventually into northern Texas. I wouldn't be surprised one bit they throw in a marginal risk at all. Okay, so definitely be careful if you're in southeast Colorado, western panhandle of Oklahoma, kind of north of the Amarillo area. Could get some supercells and just an area of rain. This could develop more into a widespread area of rain that moves through areas of Kansas and Oklahoma overnight tonight. But as far as storms overnight tonight, I would say you're probably not going to see it much. Temperatures brutally hot. These are air temperatures. Over 105 degrees in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the heart of Texas, well over 105. Shreveport over 100. Very hot into southern Mississippi. Very hot New Orleans, Baton Rouge region. The good news is your folks in Oklahoma, there will be a big difference between Oklahoma City and then around the Red River of Texas and Oklahoma, where you guys will be well into the 100s, but you go up to Oklahoma City, Tulsa, only the low 90s. So a little bit of a break from the heat, if you will, if you call that a break. But you don't have to go far up north. I mean, technically it is kind of far, but you start to get in Nebraska, much cooler temperatures, 70s. So you're definitely getting a break in the heat up here. The north central U.S., you still got this lingering pesky surface low, and this is just spinning around out here. And what's going to happen here is you got two areas to watch. One is in Michigan, but this is going to be more so just rain, some heavy rain, maybe some rumbles of thunder in Michigan. Definitely going to be it's already a rainy morning in Michigan. It's going to be a rainy afternoon probably too. Good day just to stay inside, read a book in Michigan. But this surface low, which begins to take more of a southeast track, it's going to promote some strong to severe storms in Missouri and Illinois, even areas of Iowa later today. So this is really the big area we need to watch for. So let's go on and zoom in. But for my folks everywhere else, UP and Michigan should stay pretty quiet. You could get some storm action on this northern side of this low. Up here in Minnesota, eastern South Dakota, some storms are possible in kind of the northern terrain regions of northern Minnesota, but nothing severe at all. But let's talk about this. Okay, surface low moves in, the atmosphere clears out. I really think the atmosphere really destabilizes into Missouri and Illinois, and then we get into lunchtime, 1-2 p.m. Here comes these storms. These could be producing a tornado or two in southeast Iowa. I'm telling you, got to be careful in southeast Iowa. What is that? Burlington region, the Mount Pleasant region, Fairfield, Washington. You guys got to be just aware of what's going on weather-wise today. And then they really start going. Watch out, Quincy region, St. Louis, obviously, around that 72 corridor. Storms start popping off right here in this region. And I would say this whole entire section right here of Illinois, this area right into here, you really got to watch out, okay, for a tornado threat. Really circling this for that tornado threat because you're going to get storms down here too. But these storms you got to be concerned about. I would not be surprised if they jump this up to a 5% risk of a tornado for today. We'll see what happens. But we get into this afternoon. It's around 5 p.m. We got big-time storms firing up between basically Quincy, Springfield, and St. Louis. Based off this run of the HRRR model, these continue to kind of cluster up. You're going to have some rotating thunderstorms. Central, southern areas of Illinois is really popping off here. And, this definitely is some storms we got to be concerned about. Nothing to, you don't have an enhanced risk. Nothing to be like, worry extremely about or anything like that. But I would definitely say if you're kind of in extreme areas of Missouri and basically the southern half of Illinois today, you are definitely going to get some storms, some big storms possible. Effingham down to the Mount Vernon, Carbondale region, you guys could very well get more storm action down here than what this is showing. But these clusters of storms are going to pack a punch, and then they start to enter Indiana. This is late evening, getting close to the midnight time frame, and then we've kind of already talked about this. If this ends up happening, you're definitely going to have a big damaging wind threat in southern Indiana. So, yeah, I know this did not show a lot of action in areas of Missouri, but that doesn't mean you're not going to get a lot of action in areas of Missouri. In fact, we look at the latest H-triple-R model run here in this region. We'll see what it shows, and it's about the same thing. So the models are really zoning into this area right into here of Illinois. Could pop off as early as St. Louis. And I'm telling you guys, you could get some more storms back here in eastern Missouri too than what this model is showing. I don't want you guys to look at this and say, well, it doesn't look like we're going to get much west of St. Louis or anything, but you could get some powerful storms that basically develop right on top of St. Louis late this afternoon into this evening that could produce some very large hail. But I'm telling you, you're going to have some big cluster of storms right into this region. Some of these will try to produce a tornado later on today. We look at the significant tornado parameter, and you're going to see this and you're going to be like, wow, that's alarming. And look at here, this rises to like over a 9 to 10 off the STP, significant tornado parameter. Now, remember guys, this goes off the ingredients needed for tornadoes. So just because you see a 9, that doesn't mean there's a 9 out of 10 chance to be a tornado, 90% risk. It just means that the ingredients are high. But just because the ingredients are there, you're still probably missing something. That doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get a tornado. You need a lot to come together to make a tornado and to basically not just get a rotating updraft, but for it to latch to the ground. So you're definitely going to have the ingredients down here for tornadic activity, especially southern Illinois, even into western Kentucky, even into western Tennessee, and even around the St. Louis area, okay? And you look at the updraft velocity swath into this region, definitely indicates these higher colors. This indicates a higher chance for rotating updrafts, and with these clusters of storms, you're definitely going to get them in southern Illinois, even getting into Indiana. Okay, so you're definitely going to have a tornado threat into this region. A lot of rain's going to fall with this area of storms. You're going to get another 1/4 inch to as much as an 1.5 inches of rain into this area, into Illinois, moving out of southeast Iowa, which could get a lot of rain today. 1 to 2 inches of rain. St. Louis, maybe as little as hardly no rain to you can get 1 inch of rain. St. Louis is weird because the storms look like they develop right along the Missouri and Illinois state boundary here. So we'll see what happens for sure. My folks out in the western U.S., the only area that I would say we can speak on honestly is really Colorado. I'm sorry, not Colorado, western Wyoming, almost the entire state of Montana except extreme eastern Montana. But a lot of Montana, a lot of Idaho will experience a lot of shower and storm activity today. Could get some heavier rain that develops in some of this mountainous regions of Washington State. And like I said, we cannot rule out a strong to severe storm or two, a supercell or two here in eastern and southeastern Colorado. I really think they'll pump out a marginal risk in that region later on today. But yeah, so temperatures today pretty hot in the southeast, the deep south, and of course the south central U.S. But north of this area, just typical 80s. A lot of these areas will experience storms today, and you got pockets of cooler weather where just a lot of rain's going to fall. For example, southern Michigan will be cooler than the UP of Michigan today, just because you got a lot of shower and cloud cover in the action in this area today. 60s and 70s, even some 80s in the northeast. It just it almost looks like you kind of broke the back of summer up here. I'm not saying summer temperatures are completely over for the northeast, but you guys got all that troughing, that cold front action last week, and it just, you guys are nice weather, and you guys are nice up into the north central U.S. I mean, the I can't speak, the northern plains, the north central U.S., kind of the upper Midwest regions, only 70s, some low 80s. Definitely more pleasant conditions up here as basically this upper troughing is set up. Nice conditions into the Pacific Northwest too. I mean, it's going to be raining, but the temperatures will be cooler and just hot where it always is hot in the desert Southwest. Tomorrow is a big day, guys. Big day. I mean, you even got to watch this area of the northern plains. I'm sorry, the high plains right into here. All right, but look at this massive enhanced risk. Okay, covers areas of North Georgia, Atlanta, almost to Columbia, covers Charlotte, the western half of North Carolina, western and central half of Virginia. This covers West Virginia. This is a big threat. This is a level 3 out of 5. So we'll talk about this tonight. Definitely a threat of tornadoes. Okay. damaging wind, 30% risk, and hail also. The tropics is quiet as of now. There's no tropical development expected in the next 7 days, but this could change here in the next week or so. We'll give you some updated information on the tropics too, as you know, we're getting a little bit deeper into August now, so we expect things to slowly uptrend. So that's all I got, guys. Like I said, sorry if it came off kind of sloppy. Definitely, when I have to start over the video a million times like that, it really messes me up the deeper I get into the video. But that's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to you tonight.